Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Writers in Our Midst number 15. On behalf of the Port Moody Public Library, we are so happy to have you joining us. If you're watching on Facebook Live, hello. Let us know in the comments. You're more than welcome to put some comments in throughout as well. If you're watching this later as well, thank you so much for tuning in. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to Erik D'Souza, and he is going to introduce the rest of the program.
Thank you, Sadie. I got a little guest here, my son. Oh, he's just hiding. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the virtual Writers in Our Midst number 15. Previous events used to be held at the gallery. Eastwood Gallery in Port Moody. Unfortunately, we lost that great landmark to a fire a year back, and since then, the Port Moody Library has graciously stepped in and became our home. We had several events there. Everything was quite great, but unfortunately, for now at least, no live events. But in the meantime, the Port Moody Library has graciously allowed us to use this platform for a little while. So it is good to know that Writers in the Midst did continue. We kept on our Facebook page for the time being now, and so between the library and the Facebook page, the Writers in the Midst Facebook page, we are staying afloat and being able to give you all some great local content from some of the talent that is in the Tri-Cities. Today is the children's event, or I call it the back to school event, and I've been studying. I've been trying to have a good child literature's voice, and I was watching the Port Moody Library's Facebook page and seeing Sadie, and I see online they call her Miss Connie's Miss Corrin's great readings of kids books. I thought, well, I better have one too, so I've been practicing, and this is what I thought. Hey everyone, it's me, Erik. Having fun? Are you having fun? I'm sure you're sitting at home thinking, Erik, that was creepy. So I'm not going to have that voice. I'm not going to even try. I'm going to leave it to the professionals like Sadie and the writers that we have today. So that's the good news. The 6 people performing today are fantastic at this, much better than myself, and they will be entertaining you all. So they're all local authors who live in our community, Port Moody, Coquitlam, and they're all White Pines authors. So the Port Moody Library has been great in the fact that they've been supporting local towns, and all of the readers today, you can find their books at the White Pines collection at the Port Moody Library, which you now can go and visit live. To start off the show, I thought I'd start with one of my oldest friends. Eileen Holland is a children's author that I met at the Port Moody Writers Group, but we often meet at other things like the Tri-City Wordsmiths. We also have met many times at Great People Talk, Heroes Camp, other places. She's also contributed to an anthology I did last year called The Beginnings, where she wrote a beautiful story called Ribfish. She's the author of 2 stories, and because I'm in a writers group, I've actually read 3 of them. The Sophie Trophy series is a great series, and it's my honor to introduce you to Eileen Holland.
Yes, we have known each other for a while. Okay, so today I'm going to be reading from my book, Sophie Trophy 2. This is my second in a series. The first one is Sophie Trophy, and it is here's a little write-up about a little rundown about it. Now I've got to get my face. Okay, there, that's better. Okay, a spider is on the loose. Sophie's friends think she has the best ideas. She's funny and she has a great imagination. But when a spider escapes in her grade 3 classroom, Sophie's wacky plans go hilariously wrong. Does Sophie give up? No. She's determined to save the day and the spider, no matter what. There we go. And then that was the first book. And yes, you notice that there is a spider in the story. Okay. but it's also about Sophie learning to use her imagination in better ways. So that's the first book. And now the second one came out this year, and it is called Sophie Trophy 2. Can Sophie win over the not shy, not scared girl at school? There's a new girl at Sophie's grade 3 class. Her name is Haley, and she seems confident and fun. Sophie is certain they should be friends, but every time Sophie tries to be nice to Haley, disaster strikes. To make matters worse, Haley makes friends easily with Sophie's pals, Enoli and Braden. Sophie feels left out, but does she give up? No, Sophie is determined to find a way to make Haley her friend. There they are with flashlights. Yes, flashlights. That's right. I've got lots of those around my house. I loved flashlights when I was a kid. So it makes sense that I would grab a whole bunch of them, and throw them into my story. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I actually was a teacher for my whole career. For 33 years, in fact, I was a teacher. First of all, in Campbell River on Vancouver Island, and then in Vancouver. And after that, for a really good, over 20 years, I was at Ranch Park Elementary in Coquitlam. That's just going up the Mariner Hill. You'll see it to your left, almost at the top. Okay, so the parents there called me the writing teacher, and the kids called me the funny teacher. And those two names were always made me feel happy whenever I heard the parents or the kids say that. Children learn better and read with more enjoyment when they have a steady and happy dose of both humor and drama, which is basically what my books are all about. They've got both of them in there. The drama is still pretty funny. So today I'm reading from chapters 1 and 2 of Sophie Trophy 2, my latest book. And the book was published by Cruth Press, which is a Vancouver publishing company. The beautiful illustrations are done by our wonderful Brooke Kerrigan, who has illustrated both books. Chapter 1, The Not Shy, Not Scared Girl. Yes, that is the title, The Not Shy, Not Scared Girl. And we start partway into that chapter in the class lineup, the grade 3 class lineup, right before school starts. Jordy, who's kind of someone that Sophie's not super good friends with, he has just told Sophie that she's bad at balancing. She says, "Not good at balancing? I'll show him," she thought. Grinning, she fished into her lunch bag. The bell rang. Miss Ruby opened the door, her hair towering cotton candy high. "Good morning, class. I have a surprise for you." Warm air brushed Sophie's cheeks as the class trooped down the hallway to the classroom. I love surprises. Behind her, Jordy was still bragging about his balancing skills. Sophie stopped in the cloakroom and twirled to face him with a banana hooked over her nose. She waited for Jordy to freak out. Nothing. No one else noticed either. Several kids breezed by to hang up their coats. The rest bunched up like grapes at the door. "Who's that?" someone asked. A tall blonde girl stood beside Miss Ruby. She was wearing a yellow ski jacket and abominable snowman white boots. The girl looked at Sophie and her nose banana and laughed. Sophie took the banana off her nose. Is she laughing because nose bananas are funny? Or is she making fun of me? The girl said something to the kids hanging up their coats. They all chuckled. There's the first picture of the book. Oh, so hard to show these. There we go. I was too shy to joke with anyone my first day here in September. Too scared. The not shy, not scared girl gazed at Sophie again. Cheeks burning, Sophie slipped the banana behind her back. Slowly, without breathing. When it was out of sight, she formed a tiny hole with her lips to suck in air. She lifted her chin high so the not shy, not scared girl wouldn't think Sophie was embarrassed. Her stomach felt like a brick was doing cartwheels in it. "This is our new student, Haley," Miss Ruby said. "Her family moved here yesterday. To be near my grandma. She needs our help." Sophie's lower lip twitched. Was Haley's voice shaky? "Please make her feel welcome." Miss Ruby glanced at the class. "She'll need friends." Sophie crammed her banana into her lunch bag. "Haley isn't going to be friends with a banana bouncing clown. What I was doing wasn't even funny." A grin jumped to her lips. "Well, maybe a bit funny." Miss Ruby smiled. "Once you're all seated, I have another surprise." "Another one?" Sophie speed-walked to her seat. Where was Haley sitting? There she was, one row over and 2 seats back. Sophie frowned. Haley was sitting next to Anoli, Sophie's best friend. Miss Ruby walked to the back of the class. Sophie heard metal rattling and bumping. She turned, full of curious girl feelings. Miss Ruby was lifting a box. With one foot raised on her chair, Sophie waited, watching her teacher walk up the aisle. Using super-powered toe strength, she inched her body higher as Miss Ruby passed. She saw a flash of colors in the box. Geordie yelped from across the aisle. "Sophie peeked!" Oh, no. Sophie lowered her toes until they lay pancake flat on her seat. Miss Ruby frowned. "Sophie, is it polite to steal a look?" "No, it isn't. Sorry." "Miss Ruby's mad at me. What about the new girl? Did she think Sophie was terrible for peeking?" Sophie couldn't control herself. She had to look. Rising on her toes again, she leaned across to sneaky eye spy past Anoli. Haley giggled, covering her mouth with her fingers. Haley's giggling made Sophie's raised up superpower toes weak and wobbly. She grabbed at her desk. Too late! She fell to the floor. Chapter 2, The Left Out Feeling. Blushing, Sophie dragged herself off the classroom floor and into her seat. "Are you okay?" Miss Ruby asked. "Yes, except everyone's laughing and staring." Miss Ruby smiled. "In 2 weeks, it's our turn to perform at the assembly. I found a song about the moon and the sun. As you sing, you'll do actions with these." Miss Ruby tipped the box. Everyone sucked in their breath. Mini flashlights, red, yellow, green, and royal blue. Miss Ruby darkened the classroom. "Once you pick a flashlight, move it in different directions, making lines and shapes." Miss Ruby was Sophie's best teacher ever. Like magic, she knew when Sophie needed help. Sophie loved Miss Ruby's I care smile and her super high hair puff. It seemed alive, like a pet she took with her everywhere. Her teacher let students choose a flashlight from the box. "Everyone, please think up flashlight actions and write them down. Why might we keep flashlights at home?" Braden raised his hand. "For emergencies and stuff." Sophie grinned. "Or to find long-lost treasure in your attic." Everyone laughed, especially Haley. Sophie's eyebrows hippity-hopped. "That kid laughs a lot. I like that. Maybe Haley could be her friend." Sophie glanced at her. Haley didn't dress like Sophie, or act shy, or scared. Nope, we're too different. "You're dreaming, Sophie," Miss Ruby said. "Everyone's listening flashlight actions." Sophie nodded. She started her list. "I want yellow," Haley said. "I do too." Anoli smiled at Haley. "What? Anoli's favorite color is green. Does she want yellow because Haley does?" Watching them, Sophie got the left out feeling. "Think about other things. Think about colors instead. Queens and princesses wear royal blue dresses and royal blue capes and royal blue jewels and use royal blue flashlights. I want royal blue, cried Sophie. Neither girl looked her way. Sophie sighed. Geordie chose his flashlight. Look, Sophie, I got royal blue. You'll be the last to pick by the window. You won't even get a choice. Sophie wolf snarled at him. By the time Miss Ruby reached Braden, there were 2 flashlights left. I know you want blue, Soph, so I'll take green. Really? Yeah. Thanks. Sophie clicked it on. Nothing happened. She shook it. Smashed light bulb bits and cracked lens pieces fell to the floor. Her lip quivered. Aw! Braden frowned. Is it wrecked, Soph? Yes. Ha ha! Cried Geordie. Haley looked at Sophie with sad eyes. Sophie, said Miss Ruby, I have a mini flashlight in my car you can use. Sophie tried to smile. Her mouth had a hard time turning upward. Do you own a flashlight, Sophie? Yes, for camping, plus one a firefighter gave me at the teddy bear picnic. Miss Ruby's eyes danced. Nice. And a headlamp, a flashlight you wear on your forehead. Wow, said Miss Ruby. I also have a zebra flashlight and a cookie flashlight. Everyone near Sophie laughed. Haley caught her eye. I'd like to see your flashlights. You would? Asked Sophie. Geordie grinned. If we all fall down a giant bunny hole, Sophie Trophy can rescue us with her dumb cookie flashlight. The boys near him burst out laughing. What's dumb is Geordie's nickname for me. And the way Anoli does what Haley does. That's the end of chapter 2 and my reading. Now you've got a whole bunch of other great writers to listen to.
That was awesome. So good.
Well done, Eileen.
Thank you.
You can see Carl here. He's one of your biggest fans.
Yeah, he told me he read it 5 times, I think.
When's your 3rd book going to come out?
Oh, the publisher has to accept it first. She has to say, yes, I want this. So fingers crossed on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be in the distance. I'm not really sure, actually, if it did come up.
Thank
Thank you.
Well done, Eileen. Antek, maybe I didn't do you any favors by making you go second, Antek, but I've heard you read at the White Pines, and you were fantastic. You're a natural, so you'll be great. Antek's 12, and I've known him surprisingly for many, many years. His younger brother was in kindergarten with my son Nick, and now they're starting grade 5 together. So I think I've known Antek pretty much that long too. I've seen him many times in the schoolyard, usually reading a book bigger than the one I'm currently reading. If he told me he's already read, I believe him. He reads a lot, and he's very, very smart. I'm scared to play chess against this boy. It's great that he's not even a surprise that he's written a book. I believe it's inspired by his dog Yogi, and it's my honor to introduce to you today Antek Twardysko.
Okay. Hi, I'm Antek, and I'm 12 years old. I wrote a book based on a story I found on the BCSPCA website of a dog, that looks similar to my own. I made some changes to some aspects of the story that I decided would make it better as a book, and I began the writing process. My family was a great help in the writing process, especially my mom and my brother. I could not have written my book without them. I put a lot of hard work into this book, So I hope you will enjoy this reading of Sweet Boy Jethro. All I remember from my early puppy days are loud, angry voices, bad smells, and being very hungry all the time. People with angry voices threw me and my brothers into a tiny, dark cage and left us locked up with no food or water for hours on end. Nobody seemed to hear our pitiful whimpers. I felt so hopeless. But one day, as the cage door opened, I heard a soft and sweet voice, and a pair of gentle, loving hands lifted me up, kissed my head, and whispered, "Oh, come, sweetie. Oh, you are so adorable. Let me get you some food, water, and a warm blanket." That day, me and my brothers were rescued by wonderful volunteers from BC SPCA. We were taken to a big white building called the West Kootenay Community Animal Center. There, the volunteers gave us a warm bubble bath and plenty of delicious food and clean water to drink. I wasn't sure if I liked the bath that much. The water was so wet. I did not like the shots that the vet gave me. I tried to bite his hand, but he only laughed, patted my head, and said not to be afraid, and that shots were necessary if I wanted to find a new, loving home. A few days later, there was a commotion at the animal center. We all got groomed and pampered. They even put a bow on my neck. They said I looked cute. Well, I don't know about that. The bow was kind of scratchy. It was adoption day at the animal center. So many people came. And my friend Jack posed for the adoption day poster. But he did not have to wear the scratchy bow. Not fair. Many pets got adopted that day. Dogs, cats, guinea pigs, and even hens found new loving families and forever homes. I got tired pretty quickly and was about to take a nap when I saw her. Her name was Judy. She had a beautiful smile and was looking straight at me. "Daddy, Daddy, he's the one," I heard her say. She grabbed me, hugged me, and I fell in love. I was so happy that I accidentally peed on her, but she only laughed and hugged me even more. I went home with Judy and her parents the same day. Judy's mom said they couldn't call me Dog, so it became Jethro. And Judy and me, we became best friends ever. She took me to the dog park, let me sleep by her bed, and bought me one of those awesome squeaky chicken toys. We hike and canoe together. I am her sweet boy, and she's the love of my life. The end. The dog in the pictures, is my dog Yoki, if you did not already know. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful.
Such a sweet story.
Thank you.
Yeah. Love that book.
Thanks.
Antek, on the cover of your book, is that Jug Island in the background? The background little island, is that Jug Island?
I think so.
I think so too. It looks familiar.
Yeah. We went for a walk with my dog around there, and we took that picture.
Well done, Antek.
Yes, that was nice.
Now we have
Thing.
we did have a comment come through asking about information about websites and places to get the books. Now, Erik, will there be information later on tonight about that?
Sorry, information about the books?
Websites and places to get the different books.
I believe currently on your website, the Port Moody Library's website, it's got bios of everybody. And I think most people added some social media bios. Many of these books, but not all of them, unfortunately, but I'm going to work on it, are at Western Sky Books and also at Kinder Books, which have recently opened up a shop in New Westminster at the Quay. So both those bookstores carry several of the authors here today. I know both of them are always very interested in getting more local authors. So if anybody's interested, I can always make introductions to Tamara and Anne, who love meeting local authors. So Antek, we can try bringing your books there too.
Sorry.
So next we have Kailey. All right, sorry, Kailey, I didn't do you any favors by putting you after the 12-year-old phenom. But I've known Kailey for about a year or so. I met also at the Port Moody Writers Group, and we became quick friends. I've said it before, I wish I had her third book a little earlier in my life when I had young children. I don't have them anymore. But her book is her third book, You Can Change the World, is a great book for, I think she calls it millennial parents. She is a writer, speaker, and content creator. I myself have asked many questions from her about Facebook and other social media, which I'm trying to learn, and she is just a complete wealth of information. I had her she read for us at the Writers in the Mist number 13. And if you want to see it, she read a beautiful short story about having her with a new immigrant. It's a beautiful story that's included at the Writers in the Mist Facebook page. So any of you can see that today. But I believe today she's going to read from her third book, You Can Change the World. And it's my honor to introduce to you Kailey Veenstra.
Thank you, Erik. You're so kind. Oh, I'm hearing feedback. Can you hear me all right? I'm
yes,
hoping.
we can.
Okay, good. I just heard a bit of feedback. I'm Kailey, and I'm thrilled to share, as Erik said, my book, You Can Change the World. Indeed, I did write it for millennial parents, but I actually initially started to write it for my daughter. I spent a lot of time helping her process big concepts of contributing love and service to the world by breaking them down into really practical, easy ways that she can see that even at 5 years old, that she's contributing and she can start to feel good about those contributions. And the reason I say that the book is for millennial parents is because I myself am an upper millennial. I was born in 87, and we're really, my generation is battling that feeling of not good enough. And I think it's really time that we pull the veil of that away to see that really it truly is about the connections that we make and the ways that we show up in our day-to-day life that matter the most. And so I really hope that this book not only inspires the children that read it and get them excited about acts of kindness and ways that they can show love practically, especially in their families and in their communities. But my secret desire is that when the parents read it with them, that they get this spark that just excites them, and maybe a light bulb will go off for themselves in their own life. So without further ado, I share with you You can change the world. Oh, I should say I'm a hobbyist photographer. And so one of my favorite, or I guess you could say amateur photographer, but it really is a hobby for me. But it's one of my favorite elements of the book is that I've paired it with my photography. And I am just absolutely nuts about our beautiful city of Port Moody. So you can change the world. My parents always tell me, you can change the world. But sometimes I wonder what they mean. On family walks, we smile at the people we pass. Sometimes we stop to say hello, especially when we see an older person. Dad says that listening makes people feel loved. So when we're at the playground, we ask how everyone is doing, and then we listen. When I need a present, Mom helps me make something with my hands. Or she takes me to the local neighborhood store. When a new neighbor moves in, our family welcomes them to the neighborhood. And when someone has a baby, Mom and I take their family food. When someone is kind or offers to help, we never forget to say thank you. When I'm nervous, my dad listens to my fears. He talks about times when he was little and scared and encourages me to be brave. My parents say that dinner is family time, so we talk instead of playing on phones. When we pick flowers from the garden, we share some with our friends. When something bad happens or a friend is hurting, we light a candle and we pray. When it's time for bed, Mom and Dad tell me why I'm special and how lucky they are to be my parents. Is this how we change the world? Yes. And you can do it too. How will you change the world today? Think of 3 things that you can do on your own or with Mom and Dad's help. Thank you.
I love that book, Kailey.
Thank you.
I love it. It's so wonderful.
Good message.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great story, Kailey. I thought Nick would enjoy it, but he's like, I've heard it already. And I was like, really? Apparently, Mrs. Khan, I don't know if he's listening today from school, but apparently they read it.
That's wonderful.
I just
Yeah.
So you're making the rounds. That's good.
Yeah. I'm thrilled to hear that.
let's hope I still remember I did not read the whole thing because of we're gonna do the other stuff because of it was for like a certain day and we only got like 3 pages in and then just like, oh, we messed up because we're gonna do activities and we just skipped the whole book.
So now he knows the ending.
Perfect.
So Jim Peacock I actually met also a year ago at actually the Port Moody Library when last year when they were doing the Writers Festival. I met him and I think I sold him a book and he sold me a book. His memoir, Remember the Good Times, is a great read, and I was actually surprised he's written a kid's book next. I enjoyed his book. Actually, Jim's pretty much a legend in Port Moody. He actually helped the creation of the Port Moody Library, so we all owe him for that one. But again, as I said, to my surprise, he's written a children's book called Fun with Words: The ABCs of Heteronyms and Homonyms. I think I know what those mean, but I think I'd also be ruining Jim's fun if I told you. So I'm going to let Jim tell you.
I don't know.
Thank you very much, Erik. The first thing I want to do is say thank you to Erik and Sadie for making this whole event possible. Once more, and thanks to the Port Moody Library as well for its White Pines local authors section, where you will be able to find our book, Fun with Words, the ABCs of Heteronyms and Homonyms, as of November. Fun with Words is a collaboration between me and Dawn Matson, an artist who has illustrated my words with her wonderful drawings. She and I met in a retirement residence where I now live in Port Coquitlam. She was the head concierge at the time and had been for many years until last September. She also gave painting classes here, and though some of the residents had never tried painting before they met Dawn, they came out doing some quite interesting acrylics. I started working with the words for this book when my two granddaughters, Hallie and Zoe, were in elementary school. They're both in university now, one just a semester away from her degree in philosophy at Queen's, the other studying drama in New York City at the same new school that produced Marlon Brando and Harry Belafonte. In Fun with Words, Dawn and I sought to create an adventure exploring words, and as the back cover blurb says, it's an entertaining opportunity for young readers to learn and for parents and grandparents to share learning experiences with kids and grandkids while building positive relationships. Now let me read a page or two from Fun with Words. First, you might as well start at the beginning with the letter A, where I have ants, A-U-N-T-S, and ants, A-N-T-S. And I'll just read this. By coincidence, my granddaughters have two aunts with the same name, Virginia. Both have the same nickname, Ginny. These relatives are sisters of the girl's mother and father. To visit their mother's sister, Hallie and Zoe traveled a few kilometers from their residence in Coquitlam to their aunt's residence in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the Pacific coast of Canada. To visit their father's sister, they traveled by airline more than 4,000 kilometers to Boston in Massachusetts on the Atlantic coast of the U.S. There are a couple of drawings of Aunt Ginny and Aunt Ginny. And imagine the excitement for two sisters aged 8 and 6 as they went from their home to visit Aunt Ginny for a family backyard picnic. They traveled by city bus and an elevated sky train from which they could see the rooftops of houses, mountains, shopping malls, and tall apartment buildings. Soon they arrived at Aunt Ginny's house. Never mind that pesky social insects named ants also attended the picnic. Now think of how exciting for them when they rode in other buses and aerial trains to a very big airport where they boarded a large airplane to fly for 5 hours to the other side of North America. As they did so, they saw the Pacific Ocean, tops of Rocky Mountains, flat prairies, large cities and small towns, and then the Atlantic Ocean on their travel from Vancouver to Boston. All of that to visit another Aunt Ginny and have fun at another picnic, also with ants. Now let me move on to the G. I don't know if you can see this, but first of all, I should show you the cover. Here we're talking about a gate, G-A-T-E, and gate, G-A-I-T. At the end of their backyard, Hallie and Zoe had a gate set on hinges with a latch. It provided an opening in the fence that could be shut or open, so people, their pet dog, and others could go through from one side to the other. The pace at which they did so is called gait, G-A-I-T, the speed of the person or an animal's steps, as the gait of a trotting horse or a marathon runner. We've got a horse, H-O-A-R-S-E, horse. And the drawing shows a horse with a sore throat. Both sisters tried riding horses. A horse is an animal often found on a farm or ranch, at a rodeo or racetrack, in a show ring at a competition. Zoe learned to ride horses well enough to compete in show ring jumping contests and has many ribbons to prove how well she was able to do. But at university, she gave up riding to devote more time to her study of acting and other skills needed in stage plays and films. Both Hallie and Zoe learned from their riding experience that when they stayed out in the rain too long, they'd risk developing a cold and sore throat and becoming hoarse, making the raspy sound that can accompany catching a cold. And I think that's probably where I'll cut it off. Well, maybe I'll go back to D. We have a dear, D-E-A-R, D-E-E-R. The neighborhood where Hallie and Zoe lived as young girls was at the edge of a forest. Once in a while, they'd see a deer when they'd look out their bedroom window. They learned that when you speak of this animal, you use the same word, deer, whether you're talking about one deer or many deer. They often commented that deer was cute, and so deer, D-E-A-R, using the spelling that describes someone or something like a dear that you adore. It's also used as the opening of a letter, as in Dear Aunt Ginny. Thank you very much.
That was great, Jim.
Thank you.
I like the format that you've chosen.
I think my daughter would get a kick out of the words.
We've had pretty good reaction from a lot of grandparents who purchased it as gifts for their grandchildren, and from several teachers who found it quite useful.
Yeah, I used to teach, and I would say that you could use that in the classroom to get kids writing about their own lives and using the letters of the alphabet. So good idea.
The only letter that we weren't able to find either a homonym or a heteronym for was X. covered that off with a xylophone and acts as a symbol. Explained that they don't fit the definition of a heteronym, which is a word that's spelled the same, sounds the same, but has different meanings, as in close, as in shut, and close, as in near. So we chose the words on the book for a variety of reasons. Usually, it's reflecting the experience I had with the grandfather. And there are copies of this book available in the Western.
Yeah, I'm very curious how you did the second half of it.
Or directly from the author or the illustrators. So, and they're also on Amazon Kindle.
That's great. Sorry, I was cutting out a bit. Is that Western Sky Books?
Yeah, Western Sky Books has some copies.
Excellent. I'll pick it up on my next visit. Next we have Leesa. I met Leesa Hanna at actually at the last Readers in the Mist that we had live, and she was quickly a fan, or my son was quickly a fan favorite. I brought the book home. He actually read it with Mrs. Khan, who I later found out was your neighbor, and he just loves that book. We read it together a few times. He also, I appreciate, really think it's really cool that she's also the illustrator. So on top of being a great children's author, she's also a great illustrator, and I've seen some of her future work now, or some of her present work online, and it's just amazing, the imagination that Leesa has. So her book, The Big Adventures of Little O, unlisted for the Canadian Society of Children's Authors, and also for the children's competition, the Writing for Children's competition. It's also included at the White Pines collection, I believe, at Kinder Books and Western Sky Books. It's a fantastic, actually I didn't say a fantastic work of art. And here to read from it today is Leesa Hanna.
Hi, everybody. Erik, thank you so much. That's a very sweet, wonderful opening. Thank you. And thank you, Sadie, and thank you, Port Moody Library, for putting this on. We're just continuing on through thick and thin here. I thought today that I would read from my book, The Big Adventures of Little O. And my cats are, for some reason, going completely crazy all of a sudden. They must know that we're live on Facebook. And so I'm hoping we can get through this without a ball of fur racing past the screen here. I'm going to read from chapter 8 in my book, and it's called The Great Blue Heron. And I thought I would read this chapter because living in Port Moody, anybody out there who lives in Port Moody, I have really noticed the herons out in the bay quite a bit, hunting and feeding out there. And I know that they recently had their young, so they're probably a couple months old. So I'm thinking that they're starting to teach their little ones to hunt and feed as well. And a lot of the characters in my book are local creatures that you can find along our west coast here. So I thought I'd read my chapter 8 called The Great Blue Heron. So when we get to this point in my book, Little O has been separated from his pod while hunting for salmon. His pod was hunting for salmon. He got separated from them, and now he's on a quest to find his family again and find the salmon. So he's met Dolly, a porpoise, and he's met Lutris, who is an otter, And he said had some conversations with Mother Nature, though not always with his voice. Sometimes he has his conversations through his dreams, or he just notices little things around him that are helping to guide him. And that's Mother Nature talking to him. So here we go. Chapter 8, The Great Blue Heron. The sun shines into a bay, bouncing off rock towers that reach up and out of the sea. Little O's heart-shaped saddle flitters in and out of the deep green sea. Diamonds of light scatter over the water's surface, and giant firs guard the jeweled sea. Little O makes his way through a maze of underwater pillars. Hidden caves and hollows dent the smooth rocks. Glimmering sea stars and glowing coral brighten his path. He gasps in awe. There's gotta be something to eat around here. He swims slowly over the tentacles of the anemones. They sway whimsically with each rush of water that passes by, waiting for the current to bring their next meal. They're so patient, he thinks. Little O rounds the bend of a large boulder jutting from the sea. Something strange moves in the water ahead of him. What's that? He wonders. Two tall, skinny stalks with ladder-like ribs holding them together bob in the sea. A nest of blue-green fuzz entangles the whole thing like candy floss. And strange bits poke out in all directions. A long tail with a large orange ball floats at the end. The stiff creature wafts with the waves. Little O slowly approaches it. Hello? The creature is silent. Little O is puzzled. Without warning, something sharp pricks his side. He jerks away as pain shoots into his fin. Owie! Screeches Little O. He dives deep, but the spindly creature follows closely behind him. He swims upward and with great force breaks the surface. The stiff creature holds on. Ah! Little O flails through the sea in panic. He dives again and again, with the gangly creature trailing behind him. Exhausted, Little O rests on the surface, panting for air. Wind glides over the sea. Little O raises his head to catch the rush of chill air. A crash of thunder brings a downpour of rain, showering Little O with cool water. His fear melts away, and he breathes to the rhythm of the rain. The tattered creature bobs in and out of the ocean, like the branches of a fallen tree. Although it still holds Little O in its grasp, it doesn't seem to be a threat. Cautiously, Little O moves closer to the large ball floating beside the creature. He nudges it with his nose, and then opens his jaws and clamps down with his sharp teeth. The ball collapses, but doesn't move away. When he lets go, it snaps right back into its round shape. I don't think there's any life in you, says Little O. What are you? Good day, bellows a voice. Bewildered, Little O says, You speak? I say, up here. Little O looks up. Above him is a large blue-gray bird. His outstretched wings float on the breeze with ease. A flowing wisp of dark feathers fall from the top of his head, curling up at the nape of his neck. His long, lean legs unfold from his body, and he gracefully sets himself down on the tiny top point of the lanky creature holding on to Little O. I see you've gotten yourself hooked up there, snickers the bird. Ha ha, get it, hooked up? Ha ha, the bird winks. No, I don't get it, and I don't see what's so funny, says Little O. This thing won't let go of me. Oh, goodness, I'm afraid we've gotten off on the wrong wing. Or fin, as you would have it, says the bird. I'm Ardea, of the great blue heron flock. Great, good for you, Little O scowls, turning his attention back to his fin. The heron opens his long beak and stammers. He clears his throat. I noticed you struggling with a nasty mess of flotsam. I could help you if you like. And that's a picture. And there's Little O's fin right, whoops, where are we here? Right here, whoops, there we go. Some whatsome, says Little O. Some flotsam, says Ardea. It's a human thing. A big pain in the tail feathers for us out here. With his beak, Ardea pulls back a piece of the green fuzz. Here we have a fishing net. I see these all the time. He studies the bundle under his feet. And hanging off the end of this rope is a floater. He points with his beak. And over there, some soggy bits of who knows what, some floppy this and that. Oh, and what are you saying? Little O is baffled. Ardea looks over the tattered wooden planks under his feet. Now this is odd. What? Says Little O. Says Ardea. What? It's what seems to be holding these things together. I believe it's a chair. A human chair. A chair? Says Little O. Is that bad? No, not really bad. Just sort of unexpected. Ardea taps at the platform floating above the swishing waves. They sit on them. The humans, that is. Oh, says Little O. Sit on them. Yep, sit. To rest. You float, they sit. It's strange to see one out here, but then I've seen some peculiar human stuff floating in the ocean. Ardea looks over the heap again and tilts his head. I guess it looks like a creature of some sort. How do you know so much about humans? Asks Little O. Oh, I get around. Gotta stay up on the latest. Haha, get it? Stay up? 'Cause I'm up? He points his wing to the sky. Little O is not amused. Can you help me or not? He says. Yes, I believe I can. Ardea looks closely at Little O's fin. Yep, just as I suspected. You've got a hook stuck in your fin, which is tied to this wad of biddly-bop. Can you make it let go? Says Little O. Yipperdoodles. I'm gonna have to twist and jiggle it a bit to unhook it. You have to stay very still. I won't move, Ardea, I promise. Just get it off me. Little O braces himself. Ardea leans down towards Little O's fin. Ouch! Yelps Little O. I haven't done anything yet, says Ardea. Oh, well do it then. Little O squeezes his eyes shut. With his long pointed beak, Ardea grasps the hook, piercing Little O's skin. He jiggles and wiggles back and forth, up and down, while Little O holds his breath. Got it, mumbles Ardea. Little O lets out a big sigh and flutters his fin. Great! A large three-pronged fishhook dangles from Ardea's beak. You didn't want to keep this, did you? He says with a grin. No, yells Little O. Ardea pushes the hook deep into the fuzzy net. Thank you, Ardea. What an amazing creature you are. Little O flaps his fin, splashing the top of the water. I think it works better than before, says Ardea, chuckling. It may bother you for a short while, but the worst is over. Ardea lifts his lean, scarred leg. I had a hook stuck in this skinny twiglet once. It looks weird, says Little O. Does it hurt? Oh no, not at all. It's healed up as good as new. Ardea hops playfully from one leg to the other. In time, your wound will heal too, Little O. I'm already feeling better, says Little O. Tell me, have you seen the salmon from way up there? I'm sorry, no salmon that I know of. Oh, Little O deflates. That wasn't what he wanted to hear. I'm out here for the peace and quiet, Ardea says. The marshes I used to live in used to be the most amazing home, but they're shrinking under stone towers. And the noise. Humans make a lot of noise. I had oodles of friends to fly and fish with, but most of them have gone. Gone where? Says Little O. To find new homes, more food, peace, says Ardea. In fact, this place looks pretty good to me. Maybe I'll relocate right now. I already have this lovely chair. Little O nods, laughing. Yeah, you do. I've heard of a place deep in the ancient forests where the herring are plentiful. Maybe that's where the salmon are too. It's a 2 moons flight for me in the direction of the end-day sun. That's where I was headed before I got hooked up, says Little O, giggling. Ha ha, your sense of humor has not been wounded by that hook, says Ardea. It's good to know I'm going the right way. Safe travels, my orca friend. May the winds be with you. You as well. Goodbye, Ardea, and thank you. Ardea raises his beak into the stream of air blowing overhead. Sea life wafts on the wind. Take care of that fin, Little O, he says. I will. Ardia's splendid gray wings open gracefully, breaking the stream of air that breezes by. Up and away he soars over the treetops. Little O wonders if Ardia's trouble finding food could have anything to do with the trouble his own family is having. The salmon have always been as dependable as the end-day sun. So where are they? Little O remembers something his mama said. To stray from what is expected is a gift. He thinks, some gift that was, a hook in my fin. That's it.
Wonderful.
You had 2 lines were so powerful. I just have to repeat them. To stray from what is expected is a gift. So good. But then I love the way you said 2 moon flight in the direction of the end day sun. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's an amazing line.
Aw. Thanks, Kailey.
You're welcome. Really great.
So a similar question that Nick had for Eileen, he also wants to know, is there going to be a second adventure for Little O?
Yeah, I think so. I've kind of strayed a little bit away from Little O. But yes, the answer is yes. I have a few things floating around. Yes. Thank you for asking.
Yay!
Yay! Erik, ask your son who his favorite character is.
As you can see, I've
It's Little O.
Little O, of course.
He says Little O.
Of course.
Oh wait,
Good.
no, I think it was the sea otter.
Oh no, he's changing his mind. He
did that little funny joke. That's where
Who said it?
that otter. I don't remember. It was like the first second person he met.
The sea otter.
Yes,
Sea otter.
it's the otter.
Like,
Yeah, it's the otter. Lucas.
Was it the current be with you?
Yeah.
Yes, may the current be with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as you can see, I've made Nikki read most of your stories, and one day I went to the library and I picked up Shannon Matter's book, The Adventures of Comet, and Nick has basically calls it, or we call it, quiet reading time. He very much enjoys going into his room and reading a book by himself. That's his favorite way of reading. So I gave him The Adventures of Streaky the Comet and said, go enjoy yourself. I think this will be a good one for you. And I have to admit, at the time, I hadn't read it myself. 5 minutes later, though, he came back with sort of a frustrated look, you want to call it?
Yeah, it was too hard for me.
And I was like, come on, Nick, Streaky the Comet, how hard could it be? So I took it myself, and I said, well, The Adventures of Streaky the Comet, book 1. Streaky goes to Pleiades? Pleiades? And I actually had to use my phone to learn that it's the Pleiades. And I was like, okay, Nick, perhaps this book isn't for you to read by yourself. Perhaps it's something you and I will sit down and read. And we very much enjoyed reading the book together. And usually for a children's book, you sit down and perhaps there's a positive story, and it's sort of like the author and the parent is sort of relaying information to the child, and you're teaching them through literature, which is great. But when it comes to Streaky the Comet, what ends up happening is the author is teaching both the child and the parent much of our solar system. I thought I knew my stuff, I knew my planets, but outside of that, there's a lot that I don't know, and Shannon graciously taught me some.
So now you get to feel what I had to read.
Yeah, so now I know what he's going through. And I had to use my phone many times. Luckily, there's a glossary in the back, so Shannon, thank you very much for including that, because I learned plenty of new words. Now, Shannon, on top of being a fantastic author, who's written several books, also is a fabulous singer. And she asked for sort of, I guess, an apology that she's not going to read too long. She has a big gig coming up in 2 days' time. All summer, I saw on social media, she's been going to like parks and performing. And I have to say, I hope you perform in Port Moody or somewhere close relatively soon, because I can't tell you how much I miss live music. So it's been a pleasure watching you online singing. But it'd be great to see her in person. But for now, we get to have Shannon, who's also a certified aromatherapist, a vegan, a martial artist, many, many, many talents. Today, though, she's going to display her literature talents and read just a little bit of the adventures of Streaky the Comet, and hopefully she pronounces her words better than I do.
Thanks, Erik. That's very lovely. Thank you. And sounds good. I will plan Port Moody, and I'll let you know where and when. So this is Streaky the Comet, book 1. And last time we had a reading, I read from book 2, which is not ready yet, but it's almost ready. And tonight I thought I'd read from book 3, which is same thing already. I do want to say thank you to Sadie and to Erik. Thank you so much for doing this for us and having me be part of this. And thank you to Hannah Erickson. She is the illustrator for book 3. And I'm very pleased with all the illustrators who've helped me out along the way. So basically, I'm going to come in partway through chapter 2 of Streaky the Comet, book 2. What's going on is this is called Streaky and the Space Person. I thought it was kind of neat that the very first author showed a big spider. So that was cool. So basically what's happening is the spider who Streaky has befriended, his name is Andy, and he's the size of a star. So he's massive in comparison to Streaky. And they're good friends. They really enjoy each other's company. And Andy says to Streaky, they see another space spider off in the distance coming towards them. And Andy says to Streaky, I have an idea, Streaky, because they don't know if this is a good space spider or a bad one. Andy's, of course, very nice, but not all space spiders are nice. So I have an idea, Streaky. Before Streaky can enter, Andy begins to pull in his legs. Long tendrils move in a magical way to wrap around Andy's body. He is very flexible, and his legs almost wrap around his body twice. They are so long. The whole process takes a while, and Streaky is mesmerized. If you are willing, Streaky, you may act as though I am a star and you are orbiting around me. We will be silent, unthinking, keeping our thoughts clean and pure. There's lots of radiation in the nebula and electricity flowing through Brooklyn currents connecting the nearest stars. I look like a fading red star. That's an amazing idea, Andy. I will do that. Streaky begins to orbit around Andy in a way that is very deliberate and as though he is caught in the gravitational pull of a star. Even though the galactic center moves Andy along at 100 kilometers per second, like all space spiders, he usually moves of his own volition. He goes where he wants to go, like Streaky does. Now Andy sends thoughts to the stars around and asks for their help. He asks for them to set him spinning with their star magic. Slowly, he begins turning in the same direction as Streaky's around him, and they get a rhythm going. They spend the time they have perfecting their act and watch as the black mass gets closer. Now the legs of the massive spider are visible. The spider is black like space, but has red lines running along its legs and in circles on its body. Instead of being hairy, the spider has strangely smooth, leathery skin. When Andy and Streaky first could see it when it was far away, they know what it was by the through space. It would blank out the starry background behind it in a spider shape. Now it looks just plain mean, as though it was looking for a fight just because that's what it does. This spider is known in these parts as SCO. Both Andy and Streaky think for a moment about what they are up against, this bully space spider, but they clear their minds right away and continue their charade of star and comet, silently spinning and orbiting. The stars around them send them calming waves of star wind, made of positively charged particles. The winds from the nearby stars feel lovely to them, and they hope that the black space spider named Sko won't notice that he isn't emitting a wind like stars do. As Sko gets closer, they can see that it's headed for a part of the nebula that is a little closer to the galactic center than where they are moving. So it's not headed directly for them as they thought, but it is close enough to notice something may not be right about the star and comet. The massive black spider opens its mouth as it moves and takes in some space dust. Its mouth is 100 times larger than Streaky, and this is unnerving for our little comet. He focuses on his orbit, a strange sensation for him, as he hasn't orbited a star in a long time. He's a wandering comet who lives by his own rules and doesn't like to stay in one place. Orbiting around Andy takes all of his concentration, and keeping his thoughts pure and non-judgmental towards this intimidating visitor is an adventure he will always remember. Suddenly, Sko, who has been pretending to not notice or care about this star and comet, comes closer at lightning speed, then reaches out and takes a long leg and takes a swipe at Streaky's tail. All the surrounding stars send a star wave of energy saying, "Keep your cool, Streaky, continue orbiting, don't make any different motions." It's all Streaky can do to not veer off his fake orbital path and run for it. Andy is calm on the exterior, but inside he wishes Streaky would have taken off and saved himself. Andy has dealt with the nasty space spider before, and he is upset that Streaky has put himself at risk to stay with him, but it's too late now. Sko appears to have done that just to be rude. And he carries on as if he hasn't noticed anything strange about Andy. He moves through the nebula stealthily and quickly in search of the best space dust. So Sko does appear later in the book. That's not the last you're going to hear of that guy, but that's all I'm going to read for now. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, you have quite the imagination, Shannon. I remember in the first book, I know he goes through a wormhole and meets his future self. So. I don't want to give away too much, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's great that you're on book 2.
Wait, there's 3 of them?
Yeah, she's reading from 3.
Thank you. Yeah, and you're right about the glossary.
This is the first one we have.
First one. Yeah, I even got my older son to come listen to the Streaky one.
Yeah.
He loves. Yeah, he's a big fan of space, so he'll enjoy it too. I'll make him read it too, or
Awesome.
Maybe I'll sit down and read it. I have to because I'm actually in his bedroom right now. It's his guitars that make up my background. I came in here for quiet, and then both my kids followed me.
Actually,
That's good.
actually, I followed you. Like, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I just came in and followed you.
So great job, everyone. I always have to promise Sadie we won't go past 8:30. So congratulations, everyone. It was a fantastic read from all of you. One thing about me not being the broadcaster is I'm not sure how many people were listening to us today, but hopefully there was a lot, and hopefully they all enjoyed it. I myself enjoyed it very much. Always enjoy listening to all of you read, and hopefully we can do this again. Thank you very much to Sadie for sitting through us. Bug her one day, maybe she'll read her story in the library.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Sadie.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and thank you to everyone. Thank you to Erik and to all of our authors and our readers tonight. You all did a wonderful job, and it was so nice to hear you read again. I think I've heard most of you read. This is the second time for a lot of you, and it was so nice to hear you all read again. So thank you so much to everyone, and thank you again to Erik.
Thanks, Erik.
Thank you,
Thank
Eric.
you, good night.
And,
Sadie.
and Eric's family.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Bye.